Hello, everybody out there in comic book land. My name is George Serrano, aka The Don. And if you're watching this, you can only be here for one reason. It's a brand new episode of Major Discourse, where we talk to the people in the industry making the comics and find out what really makes them tick. I am joined by the fantastic Frank Jerome. Frank, let the people know what's up.
Up, everybody.
And we are joined here, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be a fun one. We have the honest man behind Orange Cone Productions, the creative who helped Cthulhu invade Oz, Wonderland, Neverland, and fairy tales. The kick-ass creator who has kick-started more projects than we can count, the immensely talented Travis Gibbs. Travis, how the heck are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. We try our best here to cover all parts of the comic book landscape, but I know how intensely you are behind helping people get their projects off the ground, having gotten multiple of your own sort of projects off the ground. And when it comes to this comic book space, Orange Cone Productions has become a recognizable name in indie comics, and you have, like I said, run campaigns, published books, traveled to conventions. Looking back at this journey that you've been on, can you remember a particular time, a particular moment where you're like, this is actually working? This is something that like I can really do. I can see myself doing. It's kind of moving. It's kind of shaking.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. Right off the bat, when I came back, so I did comics way back in the day. I'm old. I won't tell you when, but
Right.
prior to the teens in the aughts, I was doing some comics. And then I came back and did a Kickstarter. You know, my wife, I was married, me and my wife were probably, I think, a year into our marriage. And we're just talking about comics because I spend a massive amount of books or money on comics. And I said,
Right.
oh, I have a comic that I've got 2 issues done in a folder on a disk drive. And I showed her and she was like, that's kind of stupid that you have 2 completed issues and you've never done anything with them. And I didn't really have an answer for that. So if you don't have an answer, you just kind of do it. And I did very well on my first Kickstarter. But I'm a community guy. Like everything I do is about building community. I believe that we as society, need community. I think far too many people struggle if they just try to put notes to the ground. And those are the people who I don't vibe with. They'll talk about IP versus story, right? Like
Yeah.
their
Product, right?
Right,
Product
it's a
over art
product,
kind of
right?
stuff.
Yeah, then the McDonald's guy eating the hamburger, this is a great product.
Yeah.
Those guys, those aren't the people who I vibe with. So, the minute I had a chance to do stuff and knew what I know, I have a degree in marketing.
Okay.
So I own a web design company. So I was like, let's take the stuff I can learn and I can help them and let's do it. And I'm full of ideas, and most of my ideas involve other people.
Yeah, similarly, with online just being as big as it is, social media and stuff like that, you can get really lost in your own bubble and never leave your house, never connect with the actual people that make the
Yeah.
art that affects you. And I think comics is so unique in the way that you ingest them is very personal. You're by yourself, right? You hear the voices in your head kind of stuff. But conventions, crowdfunding, putting these projects together is such a collaborative effort, and it connects people in such a beautiful way that I don't think it's spoken about enough. And I didn't realize how you hear writer, you hear artist. I didn't realize how collaborative the process was. You talking to the
Right.
editor, the colorer, the letterer, the publishers, the fans, right? Who are literally make this kind of stuff go. The 2 issues, just out of curiosity, that you had put to the side, was that just a passion project? Was that just something you were doing for fun?
So no, what happened was uh how to explain this. There's no way to explain it nicely. So I was doing comics on the side. I got my degree in film. That was my goal.
Okay.
I wanted to be in film. I was going to go to California, and then I did this thing called premarital sex.
Okay.
Maybe
Yes.
you've
Yes.
heard of
Yes.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
a lot of people do it. A lot of people do it.
Yeah.
Now and then that makes a child. This
Yes, it does.
particular time it did. And
God
I
bless.
really I chose to be a dad instead of do comics. I
Okay.
didn't think I could do both. And it was my own thing. It was no one told me I couldn't do both. I was just like, no, you messed up. You're going to be a dad now. You can't do comics. You're allowed to read them. You can't put them out. And,
Yeah.
it just took, 20 years and a good wife to go, hey, let's look at this and let's see if there's something we
Yeah.
can do.
Well, that child is your first creator-owned project, to be honest.
Correct, correct.
That's the first collaboration that you guys
Right.
had together. So I mean, you guys got a long-running
Well,
success.
no, it was two different
Yeah.
women. So,
Oh, okay, okay, okay. Fair, fair, fair.
there's also
Yeah,
this thing called one night stands.
this is
Those are
true.
interesting too. They sometimes also make children. I don't recommend it for those listening out there. I don't recommend it, but it happens.
Yeah. Did you
You sometimes
have?
make wonderful things. I have a wonderful child, so the results can be good, but the
Yes.
in between can be very stressful.
Yes. Yes. No, I can see that. I can totally get that. With what did you enjoy your time in comics prior to your hiatus? Like, what would you say is the difference between your time now in comics and your time before?
Oh my God, you couldn't do it before. So I am. I've publicly shared this a lot of times. My family was very poor. I come from a drug and alcohol family. I grew up in a trailer, like all the things that couldn't happen. I got lucky and I did a couple of small projects. They were small anthology projects. One of them happens to be big. Do you know the book Negative Burns?
Yeah, yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'm in
Pretty
Negative
much it.
Burns. I'm in the last issue they ever put out. Actually, I take that back. There's a Kickstarter now, so there's now a new one. But prior to
Right,
that, pretty
right.
recently, I
Yes.
did the last one they ever made. So I made some traction. But the way you did it back then, before Kickstarter was even a thing, is you made a book and then you paid as much money as you can to go to as many cons as possible and hope that an editor or somebody saw you. That's it.
Yeah,
That was the
yeah,
business model. Maybe you'd get a couple of sales online, but even that, like it was like, hey, you're gonna have to mail me a check and I'll get you that. We didn't have I guess we had PayPal, but beyond that, we there's not much we could do. That's like
yeah.
2007, 2008, 2005. Those things were a little different. So
Mhm.
it's a different hustle now. Now you can get your dream at any pay level. All you need is a friend who knows how to pick up a pen, right? And you can figure
Yeah.
it out, and you can make your dreams come true. So yeah, it's drastically different.
Would you say that your education in film has helped out your comic book sort of career at all?
100%. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. All my stuff in the film myself, and I don't think I ever wanted to be in film. Reflecting on it, I knew that Kevin Smith did a film that wasn't
Yes,
that great successful, and he got to do Daredevil. So that was my
100%.
plan.
Yeah.
Because I was born and raised at such a great time. I was born in Dover, New Hampshire, which is where the Ninja Turtles are from. So that's
Oh,
where
okay.
Mirage Studios came from. So for me,
Yeah.
in my kid days, it was Ninja Turtles, and then in the '90s, it's Image and like literally. You just make an indie comic and you're going to be rich. It's no problem. It's just
Right, right.
barely an
Yeah.
inconvenience. It's just
Yeah.
an afternoon. Little did I know the real world was going to change all that. But growing up, that was the precedent, and that's what I saw around me. The Tick and all these things that were happening in New England, like success after success in indie comics. Obviously, it's a lot more hard. It's a lot harder than that, but that I didn't know that you couldn't, because the precedent of the world had showed me that you just do it. It's not a problem.
Yeah, I feel like one of the things in the culture of making comics that has changed, or maybe has not changed, but I paid attention to a little bit more now is when I started doing all this and like interviewing creators stuff like that. I had this idea in my back of my mind that there was like real physical gatekeepers that were like, you can't make comics, you can't sell
Right.
comics, and it's like no one's watching the gates. If you can sneak in, find your way, find your people, find your project, this stuff can
Right.
really can end up being made. It could be something tangible. And I think that there's certain people on this world or in this world that are meant to create. They're meant to make stuff
Yeah.
that didn't exist before. And so how do you feed, sort of feed that sort of compulsion by creating the things? And I think that's a tremendous idea, not a tremendous idea, but a tremendous background that you saw other people, not in the big conglomerate companies, make their way, trailblazers, if you will. Like you were saying about Ninja Turtles, Kevin Smith, all that kind of stuff. There's so many people who have their eye on the wrong prize when it comes
Right.
to comics. As somebody who is now in charge, who helps shepherd a lot of these sheep to get to where they got to go, what do you think is a common misconception when somebody's trying to come to you and is like, "Hey, listen, I want to make a book. How do I get started?" Do you think that there people trip over the same sort of obstacles?
Yes and no. It's tough, right? So I just got back from Heroes, and Heroes
Oh,
Con. Yeah, I literally drove back
yeah,
yesterday.
yeah.
I was
I'm
there
like, wait a
Sunday.
minute. Yeah,
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 no, it was crazy. And there's about 3,000. That's the biggest collection of comic book creators in any one place. So it's about 3,000 is what they say. So
Whoa.
it's 3,000 creators, and it was crazy. And it was very humbling to me too, because you bring me to like Baltimore or like a fan expo, and like
Mhm.
there's obviously the pros who don't know who I am, though a lot of them do. I'm not trying to say I don't dismiss, like a Scott Snyder knows who I am. Some of the Ninja Turtles guys
Yeah,
know who I
yeah,
am. And then like the indie guys all know who I am. But getting in this room where like there's 3,000, there's no way you know everyone who's doing this and everywhere. It was very
yeah,
humbling and very changing. So the stumbling blocks, I think, is the reason to get in, right? And that and accepting, like for me, like I am a child of comics. I spend $60 a week on comics every week to buy new Marvel and DC stuff that I
yeah,
love and enjoy in independence, as well as I probably have backed more Kickstarters than anyone you've ever had on the show. I'm about
yeah,
at 1,800. Like I really care about this. And
yeah.
then I need somebody who, nah, I used to like Spawn. I don't read it anymore, but I want
Right.
so that was the first misconception, like figuring out that not everyone loves it at the same level that you do and being
Yeah,
okay with that. Right. So that was the first like humble, like reality of like, oh my God, some of these people, they literally did the math and was like, yeah, my iPhone's not a good enough camera to make a movie, so I'm going to make a comic.
yeah,
Right.
right. Yeah,
So
yeah,
so that's, and I think that that's also the biggest stumbling block is those people who don't love this medium do a Kickstarter, launch it, doesn't get gangbusters. They don't understand why. They don't understand what makes their project different than other people's. What the love of that passion, that what a page turn is, to learn about all these deeper meanings, and comics being the best, in my opinion, the best medium in the world to tell stories. A comic can tell things. I can add 18 panels to a page and make time slow down for the reader. Like I can
yeah,
stop them and make them slow. You can't do that even with film. You
yeah,
can make it in slow motion, but it's weird. I'm not actually slowing time. I'm just making you take longer to ingest this, which does have an impact, in learning those things of the craft. Seeing something like Absolute Batman or an Ultimates universe like come out of nowhere and go, this shouldn't work on paper, right? I remember
yeah,
I was a huge Bendis fan prior to him being an Ultimates guy, Spider-Man guy.
yeah.
I literally wrote him all the time. I was on the Jinx message board with Goldfish, talking to him all the time. I have sketch covers, and he recognized me. Talk. I sent him a funny quick story. Is as a kid, I worked at McDonald's, and he
Uh-huh.
said that he liked the McDonald's Monopoly. So I literally stole a row of hash brown sleeves and mailed it to him. like I was in this, and then I was so mad when he started Ultimate Spider-Man because I was like, "You sold out." Like,
Right.
how do you expect? Because not all people know this. When Ultimate Spider-Man came out, there was Spider-Man Chapter One on the shelf. Do you know who wrote Spider-Man Chapter One and did the
No.
art? John
John Byrne.
Burns.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I know.
How can Ultimate Spider-Man win a retelling of
Yeah,
Spider-Man when you have John Burns, a master of the craft, at the
right.
same time? So like it's so funny to see these things and how they resonate and how we tell these things and how they matter and impact creators. So I don't think I answered your question, but I said a lot of things.
No, no, I think you made some great points. That's the thing. I consider myself an evangelist for the medium. I do think that it's like nothing else out there. And
Right.
I think that it is palpable when a creator puts their heart into that book, it stays locked in that book. And I often say like, lending a trade is a love language. Lending
Right.
an issue is a love language. I'm trying to give you my heart here.
Right.
And so the idea that you're helping people come together to do this, it never occurred to me that some people may not be doing it for 100% the right reasons. I don't know if it's a new phenomenon or something that I just started to pay attention to, but I didn't realize how many screenwriters are in the comic world. And I don't know if that was just a natural pipeline because maybe they think like sort of like storyboarding. If that's a natural talent
It's
that carries over from film to do panel layout or anything like that. What do you think?
Well, I'll give you the history a little bit. So it's IP farming. So for a little bit there, about 2008, 16, 17, a lot of Netflix movies got made out of independent projects, or greenlit or Target. Mark Millar on that Netflix. So a lot of those
Hmm.
guys came in here. That's when the superheroes were doing really well, and like everyone was optioning and doing things. So a lot of those guys came in here because it's way easier to do proof of concept and show the fan base here in comics than it is to actually care about the medium and want to level it up. And again, I don't want to, though those guys stress me out, I don't ever I don't want to ever be a gatekeeper, like you said. Like, you're welcome if you want to come and learn. And some of these guys fall in love with comics. I
Yeah,
just listened to a interview with Che Grayson. Like,
yeah,
she was 100% a film person, and now she's writing Absolute Catwoman, and like it's killing it. Like, there
yeah,
is people who are the exception to the rule, but I think a lot of those guys come over here because it's easier. They want to see their stuff in lights, and I too as well. Like, thinking if I went the other path of my life, let's say I was a screenwriter, I would be devastated if I wrote all these screenplays, they got bought and they never got made, right?
yeah.
Or
Hmm.
they got made and that guy took parts of my script, hired their own guy to rewrite a lot of it. So what I wrote is a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of what it was versus
Yeah,
putting art into the world, right?
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
those
100%.
guys, please come. Like if you have a voice, we want to hear it. And I think it takes a little bit for people to realize that comics aren't just superheroes, right? There's all sorts of genre. I write punk rock books. I write Cthulhu. I have a crime book.
Yeah.
And I have superhero books. Like, all of it is welcome and accepted here.
I was in my amateur dealing with comic books and stuff like that. Obviously, the big two, your favorite heroes, you follow those
Sure.
stories. And then I got shepherded into the world of indie comics and I fell in love with a creator's ability to start and stop their own story. Right? Because when you deal with so many ongoings where you have to dribble the ball and you're never meant to actually shoot it. Your
Right.
job is to pass it to the next person and never really, sometimes you can't even really affect change. And then you have these indie comics where it might be 5 issues, but every bit of heart, soul, story is in them and it beats and you can feel it. And they have something to say also, right? Because sometimes you're just taking on the character, you're just taking on a character. You may not have a perfect pitch or a perfect angle to tackle it. But these indie books don't get made unless you have something to say, unless there's something literally coming out of you that you have to put on paper in art. And so that learning that and having an appreciation for that has pointed me to helped me point other people to indie comics and seeing how that sort of stuff got made. We spoke to Bendis as much about stuff like Cover and Torso that we spoke about Ultimate Spider-Man and stuff like that because that stuff means as much to him. It's as much a part of the kind of person that he is. And to be a creative, there has to be a level of honesty about who you are, the kind of stuff that makes you tick, and how your mind works and your life experiences. So often I think sometimes people don't think they have a story to tell, and but your perspective is unique, and if you put the time in, the effort in, and the discipline to realize how stories are told in this medium, you can tell some really, really unique and really, really fun stories. I applaud you for not gatekeeping because I do think that everyone's story is valid and is worthy, but also you can tell that you have a real beating heart for this because another thing that people may not know that we should tell right up front is you don't really get to be a millionaire making comics. you know, you,
Right.
you, you're not really necessarily doing it for the buckets and buckets of cash.
Right.
There has to be another level of fulfillment in this. Had you ever gotten to a point where you thought about like not shuttering the doors, but like maybe I got to put this on ice for a little bit. This is a lot. Talking to all these people, crowdfunding, any of this other kind of stuff.
Every week.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
a
yeah.
weekly thing. Honestly, I mean, everyone I talked to at Heroes Con, no one said they made money. No one said they made money except for a couple few, but everyone said they want to come back next year because of all the creators there. Like, so we're spending money to be in the room where it happens, right?
Yeah,
To meet the
100%.
creators. It's the way it works. It's the passion of it. It's really hard. It's a hard industry, and you can be the flavor of the week, and then people can forget about you. I mean, think about how many writers if you've been back reading comics. Let's go mainstream for a minute.
Yeah.
If you've been reading comics for 5 years, the people on the shelf 5 years ago are not the same people now, and they're gone. They're missing. They're hidden. Those people have disappeared for the most part. Very few of them are a Mark Waid who are still
Yeah.
relevant today. I mean,
Hmm.
even Bendis, right? Bendis doesn't have a big two. He got drove out of DC. Like
Yeah.
this guy created some of the greatest characters. It gets wild, and I won't get into DC. I know a lot of people have opinions about the DC Bendis, but that's
Yes,
neither
yes,
here nor
yes.
there.
Right, right. I
I
actually,
think
when we had him on, I got to do the whole "what boy, this boy, that boy" joke to him, and he was
right.
fine. He was fine. He had a blast. He was a good
Right,
sport.
right. I hear you age Superman, and people's not a big fan. Let's talk about
Yeah, yeah,
it. But it's an ongoing thing, as you do these things and try to figure out what works, and like it's really hard, man, that you see these people who I'm gonna get a whatnot guy is gonna pay another artist who's more successful $600 for the same cover that you got on your indie project for another Batman alternate cover. That's that
yeah,
they put the heroes exclusive cover on the top, and
yeah,
they're gonna make way more than you when you made a whole new universe and IP that you're just shouting to the world. It's very
yeah,
frustrating. It hurts a lot, but when you got stories to tell, it doesn't matter. Like I've got stuff, and then because for every one of those, I have that one person, a con, either it be a creator that comes up to me says, "Hey, your Discord really helped me. I couldn't do this without you. Thank you for having me on your show. I made this amount of dollars. Hey, I really need your help for this next stage." Or I've had someone come up to me and said, "Your book made me not commit suicide. How can you not keep
yeah.
doing it? Right? Like, how can you not
No.
do it? Like, I was like, are you sure you read the right book? Like, it's about punk rock.
Right.
We
Yeah,
vent a lot. I'm not. Are you sure?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, nobody said that with Cthulhu.
No, no, no. No, no Voodoo Nation sort of.
Right, no Voodoo Nations. I was like, oh, it really saved my life. No, but but even the Cthulhu stuff, so many people have talked about it and came to me and said, I never have a chance to make table, but this book saves me because I only have $5 floppies, and that $30 book really helps me.
No, it's a tremendous story to have, and um, it's interesting that you mentioned the Cthulhu thing. I'm gonna do a quick tangent, but it's gonna sway right back into it.
All
But
right.
we've been doing this for a while, but this is the first year we actually started to do interviews, and so like we started with like Daniel Warren Johnson, we got Joe Kelly on, people like that, and then went to MegaCon this year. Like I said, I got your card, but I'm also like very nervous to to approach some of these people to ask them if they would like to chat because all I can offer is a good hang, really, So
Right.
and hope that they want to talk about the things that they love the same way I want to talk about the thing that they love, and we were walking around, all shirted up and logoed up and, nervous to go into certain tables. And somebody was like, "Hey, you guys comic book click?" And I turn and it's David Pepos. And David
Nice.
is a tremendous creator, such a great guy. And he's got an Oz Kickstarter. I think he's working on now, another issue and so of that. And so him being able to like recognize the logo, he's like, I bought you guys stuff. I read your reviews. You guys are doing great work and stuff like that. And just a second of somebody else in the industry being like, hey, you guys are, I noticed you guys. I'm a fan for life. I'm a David Pepper
Right.
fan for life. So like, I'm combing through your stuff and I see a forward by David in
Yeah.
the Cthulhu Oz story, and it's just like I can't help but think in a pessimistic world where we're constantly being divided for everything under the sun. I can't help but think that good people in this industry find each other. That they just they pull each other in, whether it's the passion, whether it's the energy in general. I believe energy is cyclical. The energy you put out will come back to you eventually. That's why it's important to be positive and collaborative and all that kind of stuff there. But that was like another stamp to me in regards to you of like good guy putting out good work and making sure that he is helping raise other people as well. That's another thing. You could build the ladder and then kick the ladder out from underneath you, right?
Right.
And just be like, I figured it out on my own. You guys better learn to figure it out on your own. Um, I guess one of the questions I'm trying to ask is when did you realize that you wanted to help others? It's one thing to be like, I want to try to see this indie sort of journey, and I want to get my stuff, my ideas, my books. I want to get those things out there. I think it's a different level of energy, a different level of collaboration, cooperation to be like, I think you got something. I think we can take what you got and make something out of it.
Um, I mean, that's part of my DNA, so it's tough. I mean, even David Pepos, you mentioned David Pepos, like I know him because I helped him. Like I run his website.
Awesome.
I
Oh,
yeah,
okay. Awesome. Awesome.
I run his website. I helped him. I got referred to him as that, and my payment was mostly me going. So, you're working at Marvel, huh? What's going on? New
Yeah, yeah,
Punisher
yeah.
you're doing? Tell me about this new Punisher. What's going on with the new Punisher?
100%. Yeah. That's so cool.
Didn't work out so well. Sorry about that, David.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But it's kind of who I am. Like in anything I've ever done, I've always been about community. Do you guys know what live action role playing is?
Yes.
Yep,
Hmm.
So
that I do.
I grew up in live action role playing. So even though I didn't write comics for a good 15, 20 years, I did live action role playing, and I ran large groups for up to 200 to 500 people, like massive
Whoa.
amounts of groups. But my job in that was they would make a character and I would have a story and I have to make their characters fit in my story. So it became a natural process of seeing like, what do you need to make your experience better? So, yeah, and I took that same stuff into comics. How do I make your experience better? Because a lot of these guys just don't know. It has nothing to do with anything. Someone needs to tell them why we're doing the things we're doing to make sense. Why do you have 4 covers? They're like, I just want to do my one cover and make it. Like I don't need 5 covers. I just want people to have my story. I care about the story. Cool, man. Like I get that, but now you're telling them that your $5 cover is the only investment you want from them. We do the other covers to give people options of investment. Like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. I
view
didn't
it
even
as
think about that, but yeah.
you got to view it from that point of view. It's like how much you want to invest in this story. What's it worth to you? Is the story worth $5 to you, or just $35 to you? That's all variant covers is. That's what the game is. Like,
Yeah.
guess what? It costs us the same to print it, more or less. If it's shiny, it costs a little more. If it's metal, it costs a little more. But on average, it costs the same. The artist may be a little bit more, but the printing itself of the book, there is no
Right.
difference between the two. It's value that we artificially put on that, but that artificial printing is not a nothing. It's what kind of investment are you willing to play on this project? How much do you love it? Can we
Yeah.
do it? And then that's what we're gauging and trying to build that. Trying to build a fan base and trying to learn what that is. A lot of these guys think that you just make a Kickstarter and it funds like it's just magic, and it's just not the way it works. It's finding communities, finding people you talk. Because I run a large Discord server of over 500 people where we help
Whoa.
and build them up and do that. I do all the Cthulhu's and Holiday Spirits, which are anthology based, where I help people get in. And a lot of times I find and connect them with artists. I do all that work. I also run Indietober, which is a Facebook group that we do in October, where we do 31 independent comic books characters,
Whoa.
where other people from around the world will draw pictures of it for that month. And so many of those people have got cover gigs and opportunities and jobs. For me, that's part of this business is to lift people up and to take people with you. There's no other way to do it. I don't know the other way. Maybe I'd be more successful if I knew the other way, right? If I was just pitching instead of helping
Yeah.
people, just sending IDW, Marvel, DC, hey, here's my latest work, buy my stuff. But I don't know how to do that. All I know how to do is build it. I mean, I own a second publishing company, Summit Comics. I don't know if you've been seeing
I've
the
known
stuff.
Summit. Yeah, I know Summit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's me. That's my other
That's
company.
awesome.
So in fact, I spent most of the day shipping out this book. Doesn't even have an orange cone logo on it, but this is
Yeah.
Pinnacle #1. It's done
Yes.
shipping it out. But that's what I do, and what I love about this business is getting everyone's dream, not just mine, but helping each other and letting people tell the stories they want to tell and put it into the world.
I could dig that. I've been monopolizing this conversation, Frank.
Oh, you're good. I've been enjoying it. I don't want to digress too much. I do have to rewind a second. I've been a gamer for about 30 years
Okay.
since high school. So, what system did you LARP?
So I started out with Vampire.
Okay, of
And so
course.
until as I ran Vampire for many years for World of Darkness. for Watts, and then they had this thing called Requiem, and I was like, nope, I'm out. And then I transferred to running Werewolf the Apocalypse for about 5 to 7 years for a LARP organization called Gru Nation. So I stuck in the White Wolf world, but ran the two.
Okay. I am familiar with both of those. I dabbled in what was it, Laws of the Night was Vampire LARP, right?
Yep. Yeah,
Dabbled
Laws of
that,
the Night, Laws of the Wild were the two. Yep.
Yep. I was just curious. I said, that's something I've done for 30 years. Not as much in the last 7 or 8, but a long time.
Sure. Yeah, I still have a D&D group. That's about the extent of what I do, but it never goes away.
Right, and they play once every 6 months, maybe, if you can all get
No,
it worked
no,
out.
no. Well, no, we get about a game a month. It's scheduled every 2 weeks, but we get about a game a month.
That's not bad.
No, it's not bad.
So here's where I circle it back onto topic then. All this Cthulhu stuff that you've done. Do you ever, are you a big fan of the works of Lovecraft? Have you played Call of Cthulhu? Where's all this Cthulhu come from?
Yeah, of course. I'm sure you can see my back. They got all the board games, so they're all there. House on a Hill, Betrayals on House of Hill, Call of Cthulhu, all that stuff's all there. Of course. Yeah. Though I talked about doing Werewolf and Vampire, that's kind of the professional version. I played everything: Shadowrun, Earth Dawn, Werewolf, Hero Clicks, Magic the Gathering, the whole thing, the whole game. But yeah, Cthulhu was always a passion of mine. Very, very entrenched in the world. But I'll be honest, it was more of a marketing thing. It's stuff I knew, stuff that I was good at. I took my LARP skills. Hey, what if I had Cthulhu invade something, a public domain? This would do one of two things. One, I could hire a bunch of creators, so I could give each character to a creator and let them be part of this universe to build something. B, I could tie all the stories together. It's a skill set I have with the LARP thing. And C, it's all public domain, so I could take it all, and it has established things to bring people to my table to sell my own books. That's the goal, right? I want, oh, that's Cthulhu. Oh, that's Wonderland. That's Neverland. That's okay, cool. Come to my table. All right, cool. We got you here. Let me show you my original IP. See if you like that as well. So it's a strategy. It's no different than the IDW strategy of, hey, we've got Ninja Turtles license, we got the Star Wars license. But if you dig deep enough, there's regular IPs there. Same thing with Mad Cave, right? We've got Speed Racer, we've got Phantom Stranger, we got all this stuff. Keep digging, you're gonna see our original IPs. So I kind of did the same strategies as on an indie basis.
Very cool.
I like your newsies selling papes.
Oh yeah, it's actually Ninja Turtles. Turns out you might appreciate that. Yeah, that was couldn't resist. All right, so here I'm going to rewind a little bit again. So you started with the film degree because you thought you wanted to make movies, and then changed your mind. Well, then things happened. We got the after school special lesson.
You don't need any visual. You can figure it out, right? You don't need anything visual.
Right. Okay. No diagrams needed.
Yeah. We're gonna intercut to footage, and then we'll come back.
Wow. So you said you have a marketing degree too. Where'd that come in?
So here's what it's crazy how it went. I worked at a comic store because I loved comic stores. I was very good at doing comic store work. So when the X-Men were around, the X-Men movies, the original Fox X-Men movies, I would host these very large events and give out free comics. Like, this is prior to Free Comic Day. A random guy came to me and said, "You're really good at marketing." I, of course, insulted him and said, "I know you're here." And he said, "Hey, come and work with me." And that's when he took me in to learn all about web design and web marketing and all that. So I did that. I did it so well that I grew to a point where I did my own money, drew my own company and do it. But, it just kind of folded into it. But it was really just telling stories, because web design is telling stories. I'm telling stories about your business. I'm doing stuff. It's less exciting than lasers and and monsters, but it's the same
Yeah.
thing. So I
Although
got
your
in, and
website can have those.
right, it can have those if you have the right website. Um, so I went into that, and then when I started doing comics, I've now kind of went the opposite. So even though I own a web design company, you can't find my web design company live, unless you know my name and find it. I don't have it live because I don't want business from there. I'll take it because I need money sometimes, but I want to make comics.
Yeah. It's interesting though, because like you said, the same thing. Um, People make companies and then need something to be the face of it with these websites. They have to have a storefront, right? They have to have something to attract people who are walking across. All that stuff bounce back. All that stuff is so integral to a company's success, especially online. And the idea that you are helping people tell their stories in just a different way. It feels like
Right.
you've just been in various different pools using the kind of the same talent. What a unique skill set with the LARPing. Like that's such a unique skill set that it helps you so much in what you're currently doing. I just think that's fascinating that you have picked up all these video game style, picked up all these tools at the various
Right.
different stages of your life to kind of get where you've gotten now. What is like a piece of advice you think gets repeated in comic circles that you think is like completely wrong?
Oh, that a piece of advice that is said in comic circles that is completely wrong. Ooh, okay. I think I'm gonna. It's more to Kickstarter, but more than anything, that you can't change the
Yeah.
momentum of something once it starts. Like a lot of people think that you hit that live button and then nothing can change. Like it is what it is. If it's failing, it's failing. If it's growing, that's not true. You can change your narrative. You can change graphics and images, change the way you're telling the same story, and you can get a different result. You can spend money on AdWords. There's different ways to do it. Some of them may cost you some and stuff, but you can change things midstream. And same thing with writing and stuff like that. There's so many people like there's no. What's great about comics is there's no wrong way to do it, right? Like you if you do it wrong, you can get back up and do it. If you talk to Scott Snyder and read any of the Batman issues that he's done from New 52 to Absolute, and you look
Hmm.
at the trades, they're different. He changes them as he goes because he gets better and has new ideas or knows where it's going. You can continue to evolve these things and make it better and make it that final form. I talked to so many creators on things like I can't change it because it's this or is it in print yet? Or I sent out the digital, but people are complaining about this. Okay, cool. Let's fix it before we go to print and just tell them the print version is different. It's okay. That's what's great about this. In the film world, they say you make a movie twice. You film it,
Yes.
that's one movie, and then when you edit it, it's a different movie, right? Because
Hmm.
you got to piece it together. That stuff. I don't think that that's not a comics trend. I think that that's something that we can do in comics as well.
That's super interesting. And I could see how with your production company, how people would come to you to start these Kickstarters. Have you like resuscitated Kickstarters? Have you like
Yeah,
been out like called in and come out of a helicopter and you're like, all right, guys, listen, this is what we got to do. Yeah.
yeah. I save Kickstarters all the time. Just did one last week to save it to make it the because it's important. I think it's stuff, and then trying to figure out all these balances of not everyone has the same skill set, or not everyone can talk in front of a mic. I'm sure you've had creators who you're pulling teeth to get information from. That's
Yeah.
not their skill set. That doesn't mean they're not a good writer. That doesn't mean any of that. It's just this is not their skill set. For me, we go back to why I help people and stuff like that. I come from a drug and alcohol family. And so you're like, oh, well, why would he have this skill? Well, I went to every school in my district. We had 7
Oh,
schools. I went to
wow.
5 of them. So every year I went to a different school. So I had to make new friends every time. So I had to
Yeah.
provide value so they'd be my friend every time. And
Yeah.
once you learn that that works, you kind of become a jack of all trades and like a chameleon of sorts to try to figure out who you need to be to relate to this group of people to try to figure that out. But it helps me tremendously in storytelling, and it helps me understand someone. I can be just as comfortable in front of an exec as I can, a guy who's never told a story in his life, and I can relate to them and say the right things because I've kind of got those skill sets, and I value people equally on both sides. I
Yeah.
don't do that. I'm that guy who, when everybody's walking off, I'm talking to that homeless guy for a minute, even if I'm not going to give him $1. Like, I go, all right, what's your story, man? Like, I want to hear your story. Like, let's see if your story touches me and if I can help. Because I'm
Yeah.
that guy who, I'll take you to a shop, we'll figure it out. Like, if we're gonna solve this problem today, that's what we're gonna do.
No, yeah, that kind of what got me out of having the nerves to do this is realizing that we're all humans. Like
Right.
taking people, not saying that people don't deserve respect for their accolades or anything like that, but I think we're all just a bunch of babies trying to find other babies to play with and hang out with and do cool stuff with. I think we're still all in that mindset, and I think that that's kind of what carries the day with a lot of these, especially with creative endeavors, because in your line, you got to put your own battery in your back, right? You have to charge yourself to go on whatever journeys you go on. Um, is there anything in particular that you do? I mean, obviously you. I guess this is this all consuming? Is Orange Cone, is Summit all consuming, or are there things you do to avoid burnout? Things you do on the side to sort of besides like running the D&D group and stuff like that to I guess differentiate what you're doing
Uh,
every day.
no, my wife. That's the
Yeah,
only thing. That's the secret. Like, my wife is the only secret, because I live and breathe comics.
I
I
love it.
read, write, stuff. I started playing Magic again because they had Spider-Man, and now I'm super
Yeah,
excited
yeah.
about
Thank you. Me
superheroes
too.
because superheroes are there. Everyone's telling me this is bad. They're ruining Magic, and I'm like, it's the best Magic has ever been. Look at this. I got Spider-Man.
Yeah,
Screw your
Right
ship
there
and
with you.
dragon.
yeah. Oh,
So
that's so
I'm the
good.
opposite. I go to these things, but I also, like, there's so many people, like, in these card shops as I've been going, like, that I changed their mind about universes beyond, like, Magic, because they see my passion for it. And I played when Magic came out, so I played Revise. You can find me at the first tournament for Magic the Gathering in
Oh,
Boston.
that's awesome.
Boston, I played with Richard Garfield, so I played with these people, but that didn't inspire me. But and they had tons of sets and tons of ways to bring me back, and they never brought me back. But you put one Spider-Man on a card, and I'm like, all right, I'm here. Like, I think that for me, like, this is my world, and this is what I think about and what I dream about. Besides my kids and taking care of them, like, comics are what makes me tick, and what I care about. And it's not just comics, it's stories. I love talking to people, creators who just want to tell their story and want to figure out how to tell it better, and get better. And I love it when creators talk to me and they'll be like, hey, this was bad. I was like,
Yeah,
okay. I'm not the negative guy who's like, oh my God, this guy says I'm bad. It's okay. Why is it bad? You
right.
know, but I will admit that has a negative connotation too, because if someone does wrong in this industry, I'm going to be one of the top 10 people who've been like, all right, you did wrong. Like,
Yeah,
a lot
yeah,
of us are
yeah,
doing right. I'm going to call you out. So I got to protect on that end a little bit, but it's so encompassing to me, because I think that I really feel this is the greatest medium in the world. And it's so interesting that there's no path, right? I have the
yeah, yeah.
credits. Um, Example, I'm not going to give names, but some of the conventions that I go to will pay full board, fly me out, everything. They see my value.
Yeah,
The next con's like, here's your table fee. Like, you got to do,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
we're going to put you as far away as possible.
yeah,
And it's so interesting to me that that's the way the comics work. And part of
yeah,
it's, I found the right friends to play with, right? My friends who know what I do and can verify to their boss that what I do. And I think that that's everyone who's made it. They found
yeah.
that right friend who could verify what they did to the right person, right? So,
I heard a story or someone was talking about this phenomenon of comic creators, like you're saying, being lauded in certain conventions and stuff like that, but not getting love from their hometown. Is that something that you've experienced?
Um, I don't have that. I don't have that. I get loved in both New Hampshire and my hometown. I don't have that, but I
Awesome.
also invest a lot of time in them, like, both financially and physically. Like, hey, anything I do, can I come in and help and do stuff? But again, that's probably my connection. But I think a lot of these guys, they ignore the local comic store. They don't see it the value. Like, if I go back to giving an advice, here's my
Yeah.
one advice. You want to make it in comics, right? Go to your local comic store and do a signing. I don't care if nobody shows up. I don't care. You shouldn't care either if you're a creator. You know why? You got to take that picture and you're at a comic store. One day you get in front of a Marvel and DC person. What do you
Hmm.
think they're going to hire? The person who has all these other pictures of all the things that do in fun in their life, or the person who takes pictures going to the local comic store saying, I'm doing a signing here, I'm doing a signing here. That
Yeah.
guy is out there hustling. You're hustling, trying to make your dream come true. That guy is someone worth investing in versus, I'm sure your hike was really fun.
Yeah.
I get that picture, but if your dream is comics, show people that you want to live that dream.
100%. You really can't substitute for like boots on ground, like
Right.
face to face contacts. That's something I've realized is that you can only be in your bubble for so long, in your corner for so long. If this is something you truly want to do, then you have to have the passion, the effort, the energy to put yourself out there in front of these people. And something that I'm also realizing about cons is like the people who go there are in good nature in a way that the people on the internet are not. Like if you're only just ever serving your art and your craft and your passion to the internet, there's so many people who will just immediately reject it or immediately say something bad about it, make you feel bad about your work there. But I feel like in the right spaces, in the local comic shop, at the conventions, those people are there for a good nature. Like they want to be around the creative process and those creatives. When we were talking to Bendis, I was saying like you can go to a convention where the guy, there's somebody standing in a full cosplay to meet the actor who plays their character.
Right.
And the line winds all the way back where that guy in the cosplay is in front of the writer who created it and those doesn't even know.
Right.
Like that
Nor
has
does
absolutely.
it care.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Nor care. And so sometimes it's not the money, it's not the infamy, but like you said, it could be the individual who comes up to you and says, "This is my life is changed permanently because of something you did." And you
Right.
probably didn't have that grandiose vision when you created it. It was just a story that's coming out of your heart. But in the process of doing that, in the process of creating it, you've made the world a little bit better, at least a person's world a little bit better. That to me is like I don't know what gets bigger or better than that because I think everyone can remember a person, a film, a album that made them their lives better, that made them feel seen, that made be like, damn, maybe I'm not alone in how I feel and how I think. And so the idea that you can create something that can make somebody feel that has to be, I mean, again, mansions and all that. I would love all that kind of stuff. But that has to be the real lifeblood of this business is the transformative nature and the inspirational and aspirational nature of it, where it can be contagious. You put out good
Yeah.
work, good stories, and somebody wants to read them all, and then they want to write their own. The way they give birth to more creatives is such a unique instance there. When you are writing a project that's in a particular genre, do you find yourself kind of burying your head in that genre, taking in a bunch of stories, movies, kind of stuff for inspiration, for tone, for voice, or is it best to avoid those kind of things so that you're not aping? If you're doing, a sci-fi horror, you're not just aping Alien kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, it's really hard. That's a balance of life, right? Is trying to figure out what medium you take in, how much you can take in before it influences your work.
Yeah.
I have many times, like my first book is called Broke Down in Four Dead Bodies.
Yep.
I wrote
I read
it
that.
100% to feel like Pulp Fiction. Like it was
Yeah.
designed to feel like a Pulp Fiction movie. I thought that was genius because if you keep reading, you're going to find out that I know how to tell a story. Like I'm going to
Yeah.
twist it and it's not going to feel like Pulp Fiction. You just got to get past that. But then when people read it, they're just like, "Oh, you copy Pulp Fiction." Oh, wait, that's not a good strategy.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
my thought process was right, but I overthought it. Right, like
Right. Yeah.
so, like you can get in your head about these things and trying to oversee these things, but you also have to be very educated. When I do an Oz or a Neverland or what, those people will quiz you and like judge
I
your
Yeah.
answers. Cthulhu, I'm sure Frank can back me up. But people who love Call of Cthulhu, they want to know about Hester. They want to know if you have deep ones. They want to know
Yeah.
where all this stuff comes from. Who wrote what, why, when, where, how, and you've got to know those answers because you cannot fake it if you're going to take these things. It's just like us getting mad at. I don't know why we keep talking about Bendis. Like Bendis when he used to like acknowledge some continuity, ignore some. Like You
Yeah.
got to have an answer for that question, and
Yeah.
we may not like that answer. We got to have an answer. So I try to envelop in that. I try to, but really, God, I hate people like this when I hear them, but like I don't have as much time to read and do all those things because it's reading comics and that. So I don't take in as much media as I used to. Like I used to watch every film that came out, make sure I was ready. But I do, I do. It's not that I put no effort into. I wish I had more time. Like right now, I hate anime. Like I'm not an anime guy. I'm not a manga
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
hate it, despise it. But I am actively, by challenge of my Discord and people, watching every single piece, One Piece. I am at episode 49, and it's hard. I hate it. Uh,
Yeah.
every time I think I like it, someone will cry, or there'll be a Pokemon, or like something weird happens. Like I think I like it for a minute. I'm like, okay, I get what people like
Yeah.
about this, and I'm like, no, this is horrible.
Right.
This is storytelling. What are we doing?
Yeah.
Um, so it's trying to accept these things and trying to get better at these things and learn for because also don't want to be a reflection of other comics, right? I want to be a reflection of the world that I see.
No, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. How do you feel about with your opposition to anime? How do you feel about the whole new like rise of like manga influenced art with artists at the moment?
I hate it.
Yeah.
I do, and not for many reasons. One, um, people who are manga fans, for the most part, have downloaded and consumed it so fast that I don't think they appreciate the medium sometimes compared to a
Interesting.
comic book. And they
Yeah.
come out faster, right? And anime is like weekly, if you're doing a Shogun Jump or whatever. Like
Yeah.
they're hungry and they're treating it like it's a binge watching. It's a binge watching society where I had to learn to love these things over time, like, and wait for it and wait for the delays and, learn from that. So I think that's a problem with society,
Yeah.
where we're reflecting in this. They don't value in Japan. They don't value those comics as much. My daughter went to Japan. She was talking about it. Shojin Jumps are just thrown away when they're done. Like
Yeah.
they don't need to own it, and that stuff bothers me. However, that being said, the people who are using these influences like a Chip Zdarsky and writing things like a public domain, which he
Yeah.
says is very deeply inspired by manga because they're writing things that aren't specifically comic, right? There's like ping pong or
Yeah. Yeah.
the housewife, the things that are stuff. I think that as a whole will be good for comics,
Like
but
breaking
it's
out into
weird.
more genres, breaking out into
Breaking
different
into
telling different
more
stories.
genres than the few that we have because it's really hard to do that. And you'll see them at the Ringos or you'll see them at the Eisners. You'll see the stuff, but those are the books that you'll pick up after the fact. You didn't know that that book existed because it didn't make mainstream noise. It was
Yeah.
the 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 fringe of the fringe of the fringe read it. So
Yeah.
that stuff's bad. I mean, I think the art's inspiring. I think the art's really good. I mean, they're really great at making characters.
Yeah.
Chainsaw Man is an amazing looking character. I
Yeah,
wish
it is.
I wish the guy wouldn't hang out with a Pokemon and be really horny. Like,
Yeah, yeah. I could see that as well. I could see that as well.
so,
I wanted to say real quick with the you were talking about gosh, the first book that you did. I remember I was reading it and I'm like, this guy's got the knack that I like of dialogue. Like you talking about
right,
having like a Pulp Fiction kind of feel, and I got the right like they straight up say, "Are you quoting Pulp Fiction right now?"
right.
But that knack of dialogue, I guess that's why I asked about the whole like uh being like engulfing a certain kind of genre. What do you do for your voices? How do you learn how to write different voices for different sexualities, whether it's genders or nationalities or olden times? Like, did you have all these voices in your head, or do you have to like study underneath the learning tree of some of the greats in these genres, or some of the greats who have tremendous dialogue, told some tremendous stories?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. I do gravitate when I do something. It's very good writing. It's very good dialogue and stuff like that. So, because even like a sitcom, like I won't watch a Friends, but I watch like a How I Met Your Mother, which is very complicated.
Yeah.
Same thing. I'll do a what's it called? I'll do like an HBO like super drama to try to
Yeah.
learn that stuff. But I try to study and I try to listen to people. I'm a people watcher. Like I said, I try to be a jack of all trades and I try to meet with people. That's what really helped. When I did businesses, I learned how businesses talked, and businesses talk different way. If I'm selling you a plumbing service, it's very differently than selling you a comic book or
Yeah.
selling you a church or selling you a urgent care, right? There's
Yeah.
different voices and there's different ways of studying these. And I try, all the negative of all comic creators is we all think our dialogue is great. We all
Okay.
do.
Right.
We
Right. Right.
all want our dialogue great. But I think that's finding that voice. And that, you look at something like that I write, like Granite State Punk, where when I send that to my wife, it's layered with like my thoughts going down on a piece of paper. Like I write it aggressively, every thought in my head, and that's why this is a team, because I write more than I know will get on the page,
Okay.
because my artist is better than me. Like he's talented, and they should be, right.
Right.
It's an art medium.
Yes.
Your artist should
Yes.
be better than you. They should be lifting you up. So then the art my dialogue will always get cut for that. And
Mhm.
then my wife cuts it down even further. But I actually, for that particular book, because it's so passion, and the character of Zeke, he's got to speak in a certain way. I literally read it out loud to her to make sure she understands it and make sure that it makes sense to me when I say it out loud, because it's got to feel passion. And when I write a book like that, I want you to know the pain of it. Like I want you to feel what he's feeling. But all that is only made better by a letterer cutting it down, making sure it fits in bubbles, cutting down what's important and getting the right stuff, the good jokes, and pulling out all the bad ones and allowing it. So that's how I do it. I go very aggressive in doing that. But the other thing I do to answer this in two, a secret to all my comics, if you read the front of them, not everyone, but almost everyone, you'll notice a song title will be the title of the book,
Okay.
and that is the vibe of that book. So I will grab a
Mm.
Aerosmith or a Meatloaf or a Fun or AC/DC, and that will be the vibe of the book, and that's the voice that I'm kind of saying in it. So I'll use song titles as all the title chapters.
Yeah. Do you ever listen to music while you create?
Always, yeah,
Yeah.
always. I listen to a
Yeah.
lot of music. I listen to a lot of things that I listen to a lot of like folk or things that are passionate, someone really saying stuff. I don't listen to it's different than the stuff that I enjoy for fun.
Mhm.
It's more things that have voice or really trying to say something, like an AJR. I don't know if not a lot of people know who AJR is, but if you listen to their albums, they talk about things that people don't talk about. That's kind
Yeah.
of their
Yeah.
vibe. Our songs are not going to be a love song. It's going to be about me not wanting to commit to a woman. Like
Yeah.
that's my love. Like it's this weird stuff. So I try to listen to things like that, and emo music. I love emo music and love stuff. I write a lot about love, so
Yeah.
I listen to a lot of that stuff.
I think that, like we were talking about before, to be a creative takes a level of vulnerability. That might be why you lean towards music where their heart is literally on their sleeve, talking about
Yeah.
a lot of this stuff. That marriage, I guess, makes a lot of sense. For the people that will be clicking through and looking at stuff like Summit and Orange Cone for the first time after this interview, is there a book you'd like to point them to? Is there a book you would hand somebody and say, "This is who we are," or is it all the flavors of the rainbow? Is it the buffet experience that you're really proud of when it comes to
So
your publishing?
I'm proud of everything. Obviously, everything has a passion. But if you want to know Travis's heart, like you want to know who I am, read Granite State Punk. It's not autobiography, but it's passion. And there's not another comic like it.
Yeah.
There's if you've ever read it, it's there. It can't be compared to another comic. Yeah, it can be compared to John Constantine a little bit because he knows magic, but he also doesn't like magic. It can't be connected to Punk Rock Jesus because it's got a different vibe. I'm not trying to say. I'm trying to put passion and my commentary of the world and how I see it and my frustrations. That book was written. Uh, my grandmother passed away, and she left me a decent amount of money, and that was the first time I could pick an artist without a budget, like because I had enough money that I could
Yeah.
pick someone without a budget. So he was the person who I wanted for that project. I didn't plan it to be about New Hampshire at all. It became that. My goal was it was this quick. You guys are Florida based, right?
Yeah.
Do you guys know 104.1 like real radio by any
Yeah.
chance?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah. So the Monster of the Morning with our radio show here, and they told the story of this guy. He went to his childhood home, and he talked to this old lady, and said, "Hey, my family buried a time capsule here, and can I go in the backyard and dig it up?" And she's like, "Yeah, of course, go ahead and dig it." So goes in the backyard, digs up this time capsule. He's like, "Oh, this is weird. This is what I remember it looking like, but it was when I was 6 years old, so no problem." Goes to the lady, "Hey, would you like to open this with me?" The lady gets bone white and says, "That's my husband. Put it back."
Oh my
And he got scared and dropped it and ran. So my idea for Granite State Punk before it became what it is was this guy who digs in his backyard and finds out his parents were murderers. That was my
Yeah.
plot. But then when I started writing, I had all these things to say about punk rock and about music and about my frustration with society and about New Hampshire, because my dad died of an overdose. My mom died suddenly. My grandmother passed away. I didn't want to go there anymore. I was done going there, but I have a 7-year-old son. Well, he's 7 now, but he was just being born at the time. How do I need to show him where I come from. Like this how do I show him where I come from if I hate this place? And that book has been therapeutic of me venting about everything that I hated about it. And then slowly, as I research, falling in love with what I love about it at the same time and being and so many people, when I go to as many New England cons as I can, because they tell me like, "Oh my God, I love this place. You reminded me of this place as a kid," or this law is funny. So if you want to know me, that's who I am. If you want to know that I can tell a good story, Coins of Judas, like a lot of people like action and fun, that stuff. The Cthulhu's are bestsellers, but those kind of sell their stuff, right? Cthulhu Invades Oz, Wonderland, Neverland, Fairy Tales. You kind of get it.
They're taking your stuff and they're putting Godzilla in it now. You see that?
I am so pissed that I didn't get a message. Listen to me. I don't know if IDW is listening, but you guys hire enough low-level talent, and I'm not saying they're low-level talent on this book. What I'm saying is you should have at least gave me an email, right? You should have sent me an email and said, "Hey, bro, Kaiju's in Oz. Give us a shot. Give us a pitch," because I would have gave you a pitch.
Yeah, man.
It's my stick. I've got nominated enough for enough Ringos that it exists. Don't pretend you don't.
What's a pinch me moment for Travis? What's a moment where young Travis would have been absolutely ecstatic to either be in the room with, having a conversation with, being in the going back to the drawing board with a creative project? What are some moments that you've experienced in your journey here that could have never been something you imagined?
Oh, it happens all the time. This weekend hanging out with Ben Templesmith, right?
Yeah.
Ben Templesmith and I are friends. Like he calls me over and introduces me to people. Same thing with Steve Levine, Bedness. All these creators who shouldn't know my name. That's the things like that happens all the time. And every time a pro who I read their book on a monthly basis says my name and knows who I am without a name tag, I am starstruck. I was with James Robinson at Baltimore, and I was like, "Oh my God!" Like the list of questions that I have for you is abundant. Jeff Loeb bringing him Kaboom instead of like any of his Batman, and he's like, "You really want me to sign this?" And I was like, "Yes." I was like, and he takes it out of the bag, and he's like, "This is beat up." I was like, first off, nobody could ever sell Kaboom. Let's be honest. And I didn't want to spend all my money because it's like $30 a signature to get. And he just looked at me. He's like, "Bring them all out. We're gonna sign them all." Like,
that's
stuff.
Amazing.
Like just these characters that matter to me and that I know about. That they know. I love talking to creators, and I talk to something that they don't know that I should know that shows that I care. and
Yeah.
I don't fake it, right? I didn't research them. It wasn't like, and I'll use you as a podcast, but this is an
Yeah. Yeah.
insulting thing. You didn't Wikipedia me before to learn something and ask a question.
Right.
It's what I have. I didn't know I was going to run into you. I have this knowledge. But this weekend, Colin Bunn came to my table.
Just walk over to you.
To me, he came to me to thank me for being in Cthulhu Invades Neverland.
That's amazing.
What
That's
is
so cool.
happening? This is
Yeah.
not the way the world works.
Yeah.
Everything's upside down. Cats and dogs.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, Ron Mars, I can text him. Like, it's weird. Like, these
Yeah.
things are weird. Life
Yeah.
is not big. You know, people like you who've called me and said, hey, I need a guest. And I can
Yeah.
give them a Rolodex. Every time I give them a Rolodex of my pros that I know. And I'm like, oh my God, I know a lot of pros.
Yeah.
And then I
Yeah.
think no one has, made that call to DC for me, but or Marvel, but that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah, no, like for me, like my mom and my dad passed away, but my mom doesn't really know comics, so like I'll
Right.
be super nervous about an interview. Or I'll be like, I'm I'm really loving this thing, and she's like, good work, because ultimately the electric bill is still due, right? Like I still
Right.
got to put gas in my car, no matter the giants of the industry that I've spoken to or been in the same room with and stuff like that. It can be this world can just be incredibly humbling sometimes, but then
Yeah.
incredibly magical. And I think that something went wrong somewhere in our human development where we stopped trying to investigate what it is about the collective and what it is about creativity that just makes everyone stronger, better, just more energized. Like I said again, I think that the energy that permeates through the creative process is so fun. It's so addicting. It's been part
Right.
of those rooms where, oh, but maybe try this. Maybe do something different here. Are there with your journey in comics? Is there a time where you've ever crafted a character or a storyline or a character beat, and you're like, maybe I should put this on ice. Maybe this is better served in a horror sort of aspect, or and if I do a romance book or something, or is it everything you got every time?
No, all the time. There's stuff. There's books that I go, I'm not ready to do,
Okay.
and not because I don't have the talent or skill set. It's this is going to be another opus, so you can't do too many opuses, right? Like
Yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
can't do that. I can write, you know, 8 billion genies, right?
Yeah,
Or Charles So's book. He's only putting one of those out. He has other independent books,
yeah,
or actually, probably maybe Tyrion better. You know that Deviant's very passionate to him, but
yes,
like he doesn't want to distract. He knows Exquisite Corpse needs to be written this way, or he needs
yes,
this kind of money for this. He knows that that's not going to make money, so he does these things. That happens to me all the time, and it's a tough, and it's conversations that I have with my wife on the regular of like, is this going to be like something that needs to be told because it needs to come out of my heart, or is it something that I need to say something creatively so people can pay to take notice so I can do that passion project. I need to make a little more money on this project because those are conversations that unfortunately creatives have all the time, of finding that. And unlike other creatives, I can't just give you an issue one. If I give you an issue one, you're going to get an issue two or three. I'm going to finish the story. I
yeah,
can't be just like, you got that issue one, didn't work out, didn't make enough, I'm going to give you it. So it's got to be that. So that happens all the time in building that. And it's seeing that stuff, but it's all worth it. Voodoo Nations is a love letter to my wife. And though it wasn't as successful as some of my other projects, getting to that last issue and watching my wife and seeing her tear up, as she's editing it and finding out that it was about her. Yeah,
yeah,
like those things, even if she's the one person that book touched, doesn't matter. You said you were broke down. The intro is about my wife's sister.
yes, yep,
That was so personal to me. Like, and I had known I was going to do that for a long time, and working up the courage to tell my wife about that because I never had someone. My parents hadn't died at that point. I never had someone in my life who had passed away and was so living in the house and talked
yeah,
about on the regular basis. Like I never had that growing up. I never had anybody who my grandfather died before I was born. and then
Hmm.
just never talked about it. Nobody wanted the trauma of it. I literally faked a school project. This is a true story, to get my grandmother to tell me about my grandfather. I faked a school
Oh,
project.
wow.
I had to do one so I could learn about my grandfather, because that was just the family that I grew up in. We don't talk about trauma, you know?
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
100%.
It's probably
Um,
it's probably what caused the drug problem. Just throwing that out
no,
there.
no, 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 no. And that's the big thing is like, my family, big drinkers, I'll say.
Right,
There it is. And partially, the my dad's drinking problem did lead to his eventual demise. And so
right,
you watch a slow motion car crash. There's only so many
right,
slow motion car crashes that you can watch before you get really intensely you get really good, like you said, at people watching, at watching the human
right,
experience, at watching how people deal with the haymakers that life throws. And because of how erratic his behavior was, I try to be very, orderly and try to be
right,
very like do everything right and do everything as I was told. And then as it happens in life, all the rules change and
right,
all the circumstances change. And I realized that the storms never stop.
right,
You have to get better at building better boats. You have to get better at building better fortresses and shelters. And you only learn that by going through storm after storm after storm.
right.
Bad things will never happen no matter how hard you try to prevent them. And some of this stuff, is generational. Some of this stuff, comes from your environment. And so when it came to this medium here, it is ironic that it was after my father passed that I dove headfirst in creating this and doing it the way that I have. And it was because I was like, people are inspired by the Supermans of the world, the Spider-Mans of the world, and those guys are great. But to me, it's like the regular human who also
Right.
had a shitty life, who decided to write the most inspirational issue of Spider-Man or inspirational
Yeah,
issue of Superman. They didn't have to. They didn't have to put their blood and sweat and tears into this. They could have, again, dribbled the ball,
yeah,
fight the Rhino again. I'm not saying the Rhino's great, but you get what I'm saying? Like, it could have just been paint by numbers. But instead, they add the human experience to it, and in a way that shows us that we are less alone than we believe. And that is inspiration to me. You live in the same shitty world that I live, not in that fancy world that I read in the books where
right,
everyone treats everyone great. This world can be really, really rough. It could be really, really tough on you.
yeah,
And you only, everyone in the world is doing this life thing for the first time, no matter how successful they are or not. They might give you advice, but it's worked for their very particular life circumstances
right,
and stuff. And so you can oftentimes get lost into the minutia of what your background is and what the building blocks that built you to a certain point. But I think similar to how you're talking about with Kickstarter, you can kind of always change that momentum. I think with the right energy, the right people, the right passion, you can change the momentum
right,
of your life if that's something you want bad enough. And you just got to wake up and be the person that you kind of want to be, and you got to wake up and show other people, because that's the biggest thing that I've also realized is that there's so many people in the world that don't know there's a better way, whether it's
right,
to think, whether it's to operate, whether it's to speak, and comics has helped me do that. It's helped me kind of roll with the punches because I'm like, who has worse life than Spider-Man, right? Like who I'm complaining, but my girl didn't get dropped off a bridge. Like that's and he was able to roll with those punches. He was able to, you know, he was able to give more of himself, and in doing that we give so much to Spider-Man. It becomes again this cyclical nature, this cyclical pattern. So I think it's a tremendous job that you're doing, putting your heart and soul on the line. And again, I don't you don't do it for the money, and you definitely don't do it because you know that it's going to resonate with absolutely everyone. But that's not what this job is about. It's about
right,
those who need it. And sometimes you don't know you need it. So like again, sometimes you hear a song on the radio and you're like, damn,
right,
that is me. That they just told my whole damn story. I want to buy that album. I want to follow that artist, till the wheels fall off. And I think that's why you have creatives that know your name. You have people that pick up your books because you have spoken to them in a way, you've spoken to their heart in a way that the most commercial blockbuster film is not going to, that the most AI produced, overproduced
yeah,
album isn't going to anymore. Indie comics has so much in common with punk rock, with jam bands, right? People just getting together, wanting to feel the vibe and create something beautiful because they love it and they just want to be a part of it. And that has to be part of this roller coaster ride that you've been on for as long as you have in what you're doing with Orange Cone and Summit.
Yeah, I think about Peter Parker a lot. Peter Parker, he's my favorite character. He's the best character in the world.
Yeah.
He's going to have more friends than me. They're fictional, sure, but he's going to have
Yeah.
more friends than me. He's going to have more stories told about him. People are going to know more about him. He's more real than I will ever be. And just thinking about that reality, like, it's just wild to me, because he's going to outlive everyone who's ever started writing him. He's never going to go away, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even, I'm religious, but even Jesus, right? We add stories, but like, it's Old New Testament. Everything else we can say, that impact may have happened, but he's not getting new stories written about him.
Right.
Sorry, Mormons. We're continuing to write the story about this character who's down in his luck and how he's going to grow and impact stuff. And then for everyone, they get to do that small little part of it. And, and even me, I may not get to write Spider-Man, but when I die, my book is going to be on someone's shelf, and someone somewhere is going to pick it up. And I have books in England, in Australia, and all over the world, because I've shipped through Kickstarter. Blessed to be cared by Kickstarter. Thousands of people who've bought my books don't know who I am, don't know my voice, but they've read a book, and that's going to happen forever. So I get to live on. Like I cheat death for that one person, when I'm dead and gone, and hopefully they like it. Hopefully it's still relevant to them. But and that's my goal. I want to outlive me. I want to write that stuff. I was really inspired by Rent growing up. And the song One Song Glory in that, like, before I die, like, I always had it. The minute I heard that song, I was like, I need to have something that matters to somebody. I need to write it. And then a few years ago, I realized that I did that. Like, I've accomplished that. So why do you keep going? And it's just, I can't stop. I love it. And I want to continue to tell stories. And as long as people buy them, and honestly, if you stop buying them, I'd probably still do it too.
Yeah.
I may do less of it, but I'd probably keep doing it because I don't know any other way. I have a lot to say of the world, and I want people to know me. And sometimes it's easier to get to know me through my craft and through my voice than to talk to me. It's not that I'm not articulate. Clearly, I'm articulate. We've been talking in here, but to show that voice, or to discover a new part of me. Every time you write a character, you're discovering a part of you, because they all came from my head. Regardless of if it's a shy woman who's been abused or a masculine man who's buff, like, they all came from my head, and they're all part of my psyche or the way I view that. I can't write what I don't know. I can't. So those are all the characters. So those are things that really reflect in me, and I hope that it impacts people, and and hopefully it changes people, and people want to continue to see them.
Yeah, not to get too personal, but you've broken the cycle from having someone in your lineage that people didn't speak about, to you now having stories, and people get to know you more because you've put that, if blemishes and all, which is important, right? Like, blemishes and all, flaws and all, problems and all, mistakes and all, we all do it, and having that level of honesty is going to afford your son a level of transparency that you weren't afforded. And again, you could have been the one and been like, well, I didn't get it, so screw everybody else. So like, it wasn't easy for me, so like, it's going to be what it's going to be. But that evolution, that ability to choose to be vulnerable and choose to be transparent, like, I love hearing your story. And also, I think I got a note that says that the Mormon thing is out of continuity. It's an Elseworld story, so don't. So yeah, you can kind of.
All right, cool. I wasn't aware. Maybe I'll give it a second try then. I didn't know. I do like a good Elseworld story.
Yeah, you can have fun with it when you think about it as a little.
Have you ever been to Utah?
No, I just watched that whole Lego thing that went off over there. Have you been paying attention to that?
I saw the Utah. Yeah, the Lego brick thing. But so I've gone to Salt Lake City. I was very inspired by SLC Punk. I went to Salt Lake City. I know a death metal band there called
Okay.
Holy Ghost and Sleeping Giants.
Yeah.
Anyways, in the middle of their church, so the church, they have one layer. It's literally stuff that everyone knows. You know, Moses and the flood and the disciples, everything you know.
Yeah.
And the bottom, they have all the Mormon stuff in the prophets. But at the top, if you go to the very top, you get Space Jesus. And it's the most fascinating. The giant statue. It's probably about 15 to 20 feet tall and just Space Jesus. And I don't know why he's there. He's just kind of chilling. But,
Yeah.
you know, if you have to choose one and you don't care, I say choose Space Jesus. I mean, he's.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Or Cthulhu. I think they're both equally
Right,
as
Cthulhu's fine
viable.
too.
I think they're both equally as viable.
Right.
But,
If you don't care about the repercussions, that's fine.
yeah. Yeah. Frank, you got anything, Frank, before we pin this up? I feel like I've been bogarting this conversation.
I have enjoyed just being a fly on the wall as you guys are going, and I don't think I have anything I can add at this point.
Yeah.
He's been intimidated prior to we came on. I told him I was going to sue him for the backdrop.
This is
Even though you're
true.
using the backdrop is true, but I own that art. It's on my wall, so it's
There
a
you
little
go.
more personal.
Yeah. No, I completely get it. But yeah, I think this has been a great conversation. As you said, you're incredibly articulate, and I think that plays into your ability to get people to be invested in these stories. It's so weird that you can say and that you know that the most, energy filled comic in the world without a good pitch, without a good salesman, without a good person to stand behind it and say, hey, this is what you need to be reading. Put whatever you know on the shelf, try something, try to gamble here. That's what makes the business run and evolve. In a way, I keep harkening back, but some people, when I was reading comics, I wanted them all to be kind of samey. It was easier to take them in when they're all
Right.
kind of samey. And then the more you start checking out like avant-garde sort of work or like just different artists, different panel layouts, you're like, this could be anything. This medium
Right.
could be absolutely anything. Why bog it down with the normal stuff that we have? Let everyone who has a story to tell, who has art to show, who has, a heartbeat behind this thing, give them all a chance. And the idea that you're helping shepherd again those people, not to make this all an entire religious podcast, but
Right.
the idea that you're helping shepherd those people, man, I'm thanking you on behalf of them. I'm pretty sure they've thanked you half a million times, but I'm thanking you on behalf of helping this medium to evolve, because I do think it's the medium of the people. I think it's ours. Corporations can take it and try to slap whatever they can on it, but it works because of us. It works because of the people who are passionate behind it, who evangelize about it, who take pay cuts to produce it, to promote it, and those things, to be cliche, weigh more than gold sometimes. So
Well, and I think that's, not, I know you're trying to wrap up, but I think that's what people who only know a surface level of comics don't understand. There's Free Planet, the book Free Planet that's out
Yeah,
right
yeah.
now. Like,
Yeah.
that's a great book. I need to be in the mood to read that. I know it's fantastic.
Yeah,
I've read issue 1 and I was like, this is a book that I need to be in a certain mindset. And
100%.
isn't that cool? Because
Yeah.
when you think the average comic person buys and reads their weekly pull, but
Yeah.
anybody who really cares about this industry, like really cares, has a stack. Those books aren't for me this week because
Oh,
I need to be in
100%.
a mindset to read that. Today I need the X-Men to solve their problems.
Yeah.
Tomorrow I need Spider-Man to swing in. I need the Punisher to again kill people and
Yeah.
like not have a villains gallery. But some days you're like, this is what I need. I need something that is going to blow my mind, and I'm not ready. Mostly they're written by Hickman, but now and then other people write them.
The one that had gotten me, that completely like caught me off guard, was Assorted Crisis Events. I started
Right?
crying
Yeah.
with some of those issues. I'm like, what is he? I don't know what he's tapping into here, man. But he's open. This is Always Sunny. Like, I'm opened up. He's unzipped me. This stuff coming out. What's he done? This stuff coming out of my eyes. What's going on here? But that again is just a constant reminder of what this can be, what it truly can be. And I sometimes you read comics passively, right? Because you're like, okay, fight scene, gun shootout kind of stuff. But the real stuff, the stuff that makes you stay, the stuff that makes you really pay attention, that stuff is going to live on forever. And those creators, like you said, live on forever because they chose to be vulnerable. They chose to be fearless. They chose to, stand on those hills and fight those battles, those creative battles to get their vision, their dream, their idea off the ground. And the fact that you are aiding in helping anybody do that is absolutely tremendous. So just wanted to give you a bit of your flowers. Is there
Thank
anything
you.
you'd like to pitch before we get out of here?
No, I'm working on so many stuff. I'm in between. Voodoo Nations is the next. As the trade is coming out. That'll be the next Kickstarter. That'll be in a couple of
Awesome.
weeks. I'm behind. So if
Yeah.
you didn't pick up that, we just sent up the digital for Upheaval. So if you're a Summit guy, Upheaval 2. Literally
Yeah.
got it. I'm setting up Bubblegum Crisis right now. We're doing a new Cthulhu. I'm always rocking and rolling on stuff.
Yeah.
So go to the website, pick up stuff. It's so great. It's good and bad, right? Like when someone calls me, hey, can we do an interview? We could wrap it around, a project that you have so you can promote it. I'm like, I always have something. So like that's
Right.
not right. It's good to be in this position. I don't have to wait
Yeah.
till like it's my quarter of the month where I'm on Kickstarter. I'm always doing something. Pay attention to my Substack or Orange Cone or something.
Yeah, you've become a tastemaker in this indie comic scene, and it's been a delight to chat it up with you about all this kind of stuff that again is just really the heart, the lifeblood of this industry. And so,
Thank you.
um, yeah, check out all Travis Gibb stuff. Again, if he's putting his name on it, if he's supporting the Kickstarter, it's something that he believes in. It's most likely something you guys should believe in too. We're gonna again thank you, Travis, so much for being on here, Frank as well. And we like to end these by reminding everyone out there in the audience that you, yes, you are worthy. Thanks, guys.